Morning all, and welcome. And here we go. We got 10 games on the schedule tonight because every other night's really busy in the NHL. That being said, tomorrow we've got 6 games, and then on Saturday I think there's 10. And I'd like to say I appreciate the NHL having the Sunday game. The first Sunday game starts at 10:30, which means even though we're losing an hour on Saturday, don't forget to turn your clocks ahead. Like anybody has a clock that actually they need to manually turn ahead anymore. It's all on your phone. But just remember, you're going to lose an hour's sleep on Saturday night. So the NHL seems to have taken that into account in that there's fewer games during the evening on Saturday and they start a little later on Sunday. Now, you could say they did that for the players. You could. But I prefer to look at it as they did it for me. Because, sure. All right. Starting off with Pittsburgh in against Buffalo. And that's right. This right here, for people who may be new or people who may have forgotten, this is an Akbar magnet. It's a trap. And that came from years ago when I was talking about trap games, where you would have games between teams that were in the playoffs, teams that were out of the playoffs. And I would say, you know what, it would be easy for the team that's in the playoffs to take the team out of the playoffs lightly. Or, conversely, at this time of the season, this is when the teams that are outside of a playoff spot start to play well. And fans of those teams start getting kind of angry about it, like where were these guys a while ago? For instance, Vancouver did it last year and the year before that. Now for Pittsburgh, 38-21-6 is their overall record. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They just broke a losing streak. So they're on the road. They're 15-15-2 on the road. Buffalo is a much better team at home than they are on the road. And it is a frustrating difference between Buffalo and on the road and at home. They're 29-29-8. So 29 wins, 29 regulation losses. They're 5-5 over their last 10. Again, same number of wins as losses. At home, they're 19-10-4, which means on the road, they're 10-19-4. So if they had a record on the road anywhere near what they have at home, we would still be talking about them as potentially being a playoff team. Now, October 3rd, Buffalo won this meeting in Pittsburgh 3-1. What's weirder is Buffalo won it again February 22nd in Pittsburgh 5-2. So 2 of the 10 road wins that Buffalo has all season were in Pittsburgh. Now Pittsburgh's in Buffalo trying to return the favor. Now, on the Pittsburgh side of things, they will be going with Matt Murray in net. Murray's 18-10-5 with an .899 save percentage. Jarry, 20-11-1 with a .924 save percentage. On the Buffalo side, Hutton, he's 12-13-4 with an .898 save percentage. And Johansson will be the starting goaltender tonight. He's 1-2-1 with an .899 save percentage. So both starters, .899 save percentages, and both of them, interestingly enough, being played because I would argue Jarry and Hutton have been the better of the two. But Johansson, we don't have enough of a sample size to say for sure. So I went with leaders today. The leader in goals for the Penguins is Rust with 27. The leader in assists, that's Malkin with 46. The leader in power play goals for Pittsburgh is Rust with 8. Game-winning goals, there are 6 players on Pittsburgh who have 4 each. Now, Buffalo, their goal-scoring leader is Eichel with 35. No surprise. It's also no surprise he leads them in assists with 42. Power play goals, Olofsson is still one ahead of Eichel. He has 11. Eichel has 10. Game-winning goals, again, it's Eichel with 9. And this is why anybody who wants to say anything negative about Eichel over the last while, where he hasn't been scoring and his plus-minus has been bad, it's tough to carry a team for a whole season. At some point, your body gives out. And whether it's via an injury or it's just exhaustion, eventually it gives out. All right, moving things along. Montreal in against Tampa. This starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, as every game on this board does. 31-28-9 is the record for the Montreal Canadiens. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10. On the road, they're 17-12-3. Tampa Bay, they've had some struggles lately. They're 41-20-5 overall. They're 5-5 in their last 10. And at home, they're 21-10-2. But Tampa Bay has not struggled with Montreal so far this season. October 15th, Tampa Bay won in Montreal 3-1. December 28th, Tampa Bay won at home against Montreal 5-4. And January 2nd, Tampa Bay won in Montreal 2-1. So if Montreal had won every game over Tampa and their games over Detroit, they'd have another 14 points. They'd be in the playoffs. So just throwing that out there. It is weird how Montreal has a really good record against some and miserable against others. Carey Price, no indication yet who's starting for them, but I would think Carey Price. He's 27, 23, and 6 with a 910 save percentage. Lindgren 2 and 3 with an 880 save percentage. Vasilevsky's listed as likely for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's 33, 13, and 3 with a 915 save percentage. McElhinney is 8, 7, and 2 with a 908 save percentage. Leaders. Tatar leads the Montreal Canadiens in scoring with 22 goals. Gallagher is tied with him in that regard. Gallagher's the hotter of the two, of course. Assists, Tatar, 39 assists, and I mean goal scoring, not physical attractiveness. Tatar, 39 assists, leads the team there. Power play goals, Tatar, 8 power play goals. Not that I'm saying anything bad about his physical attractiveness. I just don't have a dog in that fight. Game-winning goals, there are 4 players on the Canadiens tied with 3 each. On the Tampa Bay side of things, Kucherov, 31 goals, leads the team there. He also leads them in assists with 49. Power play goals, Stamkos, who of course is injured, 10 power play goals, and their power play has been a story for all the wrong reasons. Game-winning goals, there are 3 players in Tampa tied with 6 each. So, for Tampa Bay, it's kind of an important night. We'll see which team shows up. The really good one or the one that's been kind of iffy lately. Now, not to say anything bad about them against Boston. That was a great game, but they've had their struggles recently. I'm thinking the Chicago game, right? Boston in against Florida. This one, again, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. The Boston Bruins, 42, 13, and 12. So they are number 1 in the NHL, and they've been pretty darn good lately. They're 8 and 2 in their last 10. On the road, they're 20, 10, and 3. So on the road, they're pretty good. And that's where Boston was iffy last year. This year, not so much. The Florida Panthers, 33, 26, and 7. They've been trending in the wrong direction. They're 3, 6, and 1 in their last 10. At home, they're 16, 14, and 3. November 12th, Florida won in Boston 5-4 via a shootout. I was not happy with that game. That was the one where they had, the 4-0 lead and they blew it? Yeah. Then December 14th, Boston won in Florida 4-2. Their next meeting will be March 28th in Boston. So, right now, both teams have won a game, and we'll see how Boston does tonight. And, of course, Florida, because their playoff lives are kind of hanging in the balance. They need Toronto to lose tonight. They get a win. If it goes the other way around, if they lose tonight and Toronto wins, we can start saying, well, that's it. Toronto's third then. Rask, not the starter tonight. He's 25, 7, and 6 with a 928 save percentage. Halak is the starter, 17, 6, and 6 with a 917 save percentage. They may even go with Drieger in Florida, to be honest. But I've got Bobrovsky and Montembeault on the board. Bobrovsky should be the guy, right, for $10 million. 23, 19, and 6 with a 900 save percentage. Montembeault 5, 5, and 1 with an 890 save percentage. This is right around the start of the time of year last year where Bobrovsky was fantastic for Columbus. He will want to recreate that now. Leaders on each team. Pastrnak leads the Bruins and the league in goals with 47. Marchand leads them in assists with 56. Power play goals, Pastrnak has 19. Pretty good. Game-winning goals, Pastrnak has 10. So Marchand is the one preventing Pastrnak from leading in every category. Now on the Florida side of things, Hoffman leads them in goals with 27. Huberdeau leads them in assists with 55. Power play goals, Dadonov leads them with 11. And game-winning goals, Achari surprisingly leads there with 5 game-winning goals for the Florida Panthers. So we'll see which Panthers team shows up tonight, because the Bruins have been pretty darn good for a while now. Capitals in against the New York Rangers. The Capitals have fallen on some hard times, and yet I saw the NHL's power rankings today, and I looked and I went, seems to be a bit high, doesn't it? But anyway, 40, 20, and 6 is the overall record for the Capitals. Over their last 10, they're 4, 5, and 1. So again, coming out of last night's loss, they need to turn it around. They're 22, 10, and 1 on the road. Now, the Capitals do have something to play for. They're first in the division, but they could easily drop to third if they continue this mediocre run. And, of course, Pittsburgh has to turn theirs around as well for that to happen. The Rangers are 35, 27, and 4, and they need to turn it around. They're 6 and 4 in their last 10, but they've lost their last 3. At home, they're 17, 15, and 2. So, for the Rangers, this is the time. They need to come up with a big win against a divisional foe if they lose in regulation. I don't know, man. This whole picture changes every day of who's going to be in and who's going to be out. And the Rangers, as much as they were charging towards a playoff spot, the last 3 games were tough ones, tough opponents, and this one is as well. Samsonov is listed as the starter, so Holtby will be the backup. Holtby's now 24-14-5 with an 896 save percentage. His numbers aren't very good. Samsonov 16-6-1 with a 917 save percentage. On the Rangers side of things, the Rangers are going with Georgiev. He's 16-14-1 with a 912 save percentage. Lundqvist is 10-12-3 with a 904 save percentage. So he'll probably be riding the pine for a bit. And no updates on Shesterkin I've seen yet. We'll see when I get around to the news of the day if there's any good news for Rangers fans. Leaders. Well, Ovechkin and Karlsson are the leaders for the Capitals. Ovechkin leads them in goals with 45. He's 2 away from Pastrnak. Assists, Karlsson, 58. Power play goals, Ovechkin has 13. So he's 6 behind Pastrnak in that regard. Game-winning goals, Vrana and Karlsson both have 6 for the Capitals. On the Rangers side, Zibanejad leads them in goals with 33, and he's been fantastic lately. Assists, Panarin has 58. He's been really good. He's slowed down a bit. It feels like he slowed down a bit over their last, I'll say, 10 games. But still, excellent totals for Panarin. Power play goals, Zibanejad has 13. Game-winning goals, Zibanejad and Kreider with 5 each. So Kreider being out means they lose those game-winning goals. And we'll see how everybody else responds. So, time for board number 2. Okay, Carolina, Philadelphia. So, we've got teams kind of going in opposite directions here. And Carolina needs to reverse that now. Not an easy task. The Flyers have won 7 in a row. Now working to Carolina's benefit a little bit is the fact that Carolina, back-to-back nights. Yes, there's another Akbar magnet. Don't get ahead. Carolina, 35-24-5 is their overall record. Their last 10, they're 4-4-2. On the road, they're 16-12-3. So Carolina, their overall numbers, not awful, but that last 10 shows you they haven't been able to get into a playoff spot and really nail one down. Philadelphia, they're nailing everything down. 39-20-7, they're trying to get to first. So they're cheering for the Rangers tonight, which is weird for Philadelphia, I know. But they're cheering for the Rangers, and if they get a win, right? They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're 23-5-4 at home. They're deadly at home. So it does not get easier for Carolina. Now, November 5th, these teams met in Florida or Philadelphia. It'd be weird if they met in Florida. 4-1 was the win for Philadelphia that night. November 21st, Philadelphia beat Carolina 5-3 in Carolina. January 7th in Carolina, in overtime, the Canes won this matchup by a score of 5-4. So Philadelphia has not lost to them in regulation. They've beaten them twice out of 3. It's been a pretty good matchup for Philadelphia and also working in their advantage. Nedeljkovic is listed as likely. He's 0-1-1 with an 857 save percentage. Forsberg's 0-1-0 with an 885 save percentage. We'll see how things go for them tonight. Carter Hart's listed as the starter, 22-12-3 with a 909 save percentage. Elliott, the backup, he played last night, 17-7-4 now with a 900 save percentage for Elliott. Leaders. Aho leads the Kane in goals with 36. Assists, Teravainen has 45. Power play goals, Aho with 7. Game-winning goals, Aho and Svechnikov both have 5. And I'm sure Svechnikov, all 3 of 5 of his game-winning goals were beautiful. I don't need Canes fans to load them up on their phone. No, it's okay. You don't need to. Philadelphia, goals leader. No, I'll take your word for it. Konechny, 24 goals to lead the team. Assists, Voracek, 41 assists for him to lead the Flyers there. Power play goals, Giroux and Konechny both have 7. Game-winning goals, Giroux and Hayes both have 5. So Giroux, co-leader for game-winning goals and power play goals. When you need a big goal, Claude Giroux may very well be the guy to get it. All right. Ottawa, and I'm wearing Senators. I'm wearing Senators because the tire fire is back. And I'll say this, it's off the ice. So just, I think it's funny too, because I hear about Jim Little getting fired because apparently he swore at Melnick, and I'm thinking, that's why all the seats are empty in Ottawa. He fired the fans too. All right, so starting at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, the Senators will be at home against the New York Islanders. The Islanders are 35-22-8 over their last 10. They're 2-6-2. On the road, they're 15, 13, and 3. Now, I didn't put an Akbar magnet next to this, but I could see Ottawa pulling this off. Ottawa's 23, 32, and 12. And in their last 10, they're 4, 5, and 1. At home, they're 17, 13, and 6. October 25th, the New York Islanders won in Ottawa 4-2, and the Islanders beat them November 5th, 4-1 in New York. So, Ottawa hasn't won a game between these teams yet this year. I think, they're probably due for one. But we'll see. Varlamov, 19, 13, and 5 with a 916 save percentage. Grice, 16, 9, and 3 with a 914 save percentage. Doesn't matter who they go with. Pretty good goaltender there either way. Anderson, 9, 16, and 2 with an 897 save percentage. 897, yes. Hogberg, who I believe is still in Sweden, 5, 7, and 8 record with a 909 save percentage. Would not be the starter. It's likely Anderson tonight. Leaders and goals. Here's the irony. Pajot leads the Islanders in goals because of goals he scored while he was a Senator with 26 overall. Assists. Barzal, 38 assists. Power play goals, there are 3 players tied with 4 each. Game-winning goals. Anders Lee has 6 game-winning goals for the New York Islanders. Now, Ottawa. Duclair, 22 goals overall. Assists. Shabbat has 31 assists. And power play goals, there are 3 players tied with 5. Game-winning goals, that would have been Pajot, but he's gone to the Islanders. So there are 4 players tied with 2 each. So for the Ottawa Senators, we'll see if Duclair can get anything going. It's been a while since he looked like a real threat. And here's the thing. Now if you're sitting down negotiating his contract, how do you negotiate it? Do you say, well, he still got to 20 goals? Or do you sit there and go, hey, he got to 20, but your client, in the second half, it fell off the map, so we're not paying him, X amount of dollars, whatever. So it could get interesting this summer, is what I'm saying. Although he's still a restricted free agent, so it's not a big deal. All right, Dallas in against Nashville. I'm torn on this one. So Nashville, this will be their first home game since the tornadoes came through. And, it's been devastating to the community, and it's something the team's doing their best to rally around. And so, even though I am a Dallas Stars fan, it is tough not to cheer for Nashville tonight. This game starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. 37, 21, and 8 is the record for the Dallas Stars. 5, 2, and 3 is the record in their last 10. They've had their struggles. And they're 18, 11, and 5 on the road. And they'll be looking to bounce back from that overtime loss against the Oilers, which Koskinen totally stole from them. But still, it's a loss. The Nashville Predators, 32, 26, and 8. They've lost their last, I believe, 3 in a row. They're 5, 4, and 1 in their last 10. They're 16, 14, and 4 at home. Their home record is not as good as their road record, but they need that to change. Not just to make the playoffs, but to be decent in the playoffs. You've got to have that ability to play at home in front of your fans. Dallas has not had a problem with Nashville thus far this season. December 14th, Dallas won in Nashville 4-1. January 1st, that is the Winter Classic game. And Dallas won that, of course, 4-2, where Corey Perry knocked Ellis out of the game, and Ellis was out for quite a while. March 7th, these teams meet again in Dallas, which is on Saturday. So, Bishop, 21, 14, and 4 record with a 921 save percentage. Khudobin, 16, 7, and 4 with a 929 save percentage. On the Nashville side of things, Saros, 14, 12, and 4 with a 908 save percentage. Rene, 18, 14, and 4 with an 895 save percentage. I don't know. This team's tough to figure out. Nashville's really, really difficult to figure out. Leaders. Gurianov leads Dallas in goals with 20. So they have the 120 goal scorer until Ben gets there. Assists. Sagan leads with 33. He has 17 goals, I believe, to go with that as well. So he potentially could hit 20 soon. Power play goals. Jamie Benn with 8. Game-winning goals. Sagan with 6. So the big names have shown up there. On the Nashville side, Forsberg, Bonino, Smith all have 18 goals to lead the Nashville Predators. Assists, Yossi with 46. Power play goals, Forsberg has 5. Game-winning goals, Turris and Granlund both have 4. You didn't expect those guys to be the leaders in game-winning goals, did you? Me neither. Turris and Granlund are the guys who come through with the clutch goals for them. Not weird. All right, Oilers in against Chicago. And yes, I've got another Akbar magnet. And there's a reason for that. And I didn't want to just put them up for no reason. Chicago's been playing well recently. And for Edmonton, It's been a long road trip. It would be understandable if they had a down night. Absolutely understandable. And of course, Canadian media will react totally rationally if they have a down night. Now, Edmonton, they're 36-23-8 overall. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10. On the road, they're 20-13-3. They like playing away from home. Now, Chicago, they're not a huge fan of playing at home these days. They're 30-28-8 overall. They're 5-5 in their last 10. And at home, they're 14-13-4. So the record's been mediocre, but because of the way the West is structured and nobody seeming to be able to grasp a wild card spot with any amount of certainty, Chicago's in this. They do need to go on a run, though. October 14th, these teams met in Chicago. The Hawks won that game 3-1. They then met in Edmonton on February 11th. Edmonton won that game 5-3. So a home team has won each game. We'll see if it's 3-3 tonight in Chicago. Goaltenders, I would expect Smith here. He's 19-10-6 with a .905 save percentage. Koskinen 17-13-2 with a .913 save percentage. I believe I saw that Crawford is going for the Hawks tonight. He's 14-18-3 with a .916 save percentage. That would leave Subban on the bench again. He's 9-7-3 with an .890 save percentage and still waiting to make his debut as a Chicago Blackhawks goaltender. Don't make him waste that paint job. The Oilers, their leader is Draisaitl in all ways. Unless McDavid challenges him, it's Draisaitl. Goals 43, assists 65, power play goals 16, game-winning goals 10. All Leon. On the Chicago side, Kubalik and Kane lead the Hawks with 29 goals each. Assists, that's Kane with 51, so he has 80 points overall. Power play goals, DeBrincat with 10. So DeBrincat's had a down season because he's not scoring 5-on-5. Power play he is, but 5-on-5 it's just not happening. Game-winning goals, Brandon Saad leads him with 4. So some interesting names there for Chicago, and we'll see how they make things interesting against the Edmonton Oilers. And these are different magnets. So I'll take it off the first preview board just to show that, yes, there are multiple Akbar magnets. In fact, there are 3. So I think it was from watching some of these games recently where it's the underdog against the team in the playoffs. And I'm like, these teams that are out of the playoffs, like San Jose, they're so loose and they're so calm because there's not a lot on the line other than jobs next year, so they got to play well. And LA is another example of that. So they're at home against Toronto. Toronto needs a win desperately, right? And they had their struggles against the Sharks. And now they're against the Kings, and I've got an Akbar magnet under it. And I apologize to Leafs fans because honestly, I want to see the Toronto get this together, get that playoff spot, because I think it's more interesting to have more Canadian teams in the playoffs. That's why I'm not happy that Montreal's not in the playoffs either. I think the more Canadian teams you have in the playoffs, the more interesting things are. So these games both start at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. 35-24-8 is the record for Toronto. Now, what that means as well is one of these games will go to a shootout. This is what happens. If it's a busy night, and I'm like, all right, I got to get the review going. All right, it's an overtime. All right, well, if they can, no, shootout, round 26. That sounds about right. That seems to be the way this works. Busy night, California game, start at 7:30. You will get a shootout. Maybe we get it here. The Leafs are 35-24-8 over their last 10. They're 5-5. On the road, they're 18-15-1. The LA Kings are 25-35-6. That's not a great record, but they're 6-3-1 in their last 10, so it is getting better. They're 15-13-2 at home. And there seems to be some excitement around these kids coalescing and what they may be able to do next year as a team. These teams met November 5th in Toronto. The Leafs won that game 3-1. Goaltenders, Anderson 28-13-6 with a .906 save percentage. I don't see how they don't go with Campbell. I think you have to. And I know Campbell played the last game. I think you have to go with Campbell here. It's his former team. Put him up there. He's 11-11-3 with a .903 save percentage. I would put him against Peterson. I would. Quick's 14-22-4 with a .901 save percentage. Peterson's 3-3 with a .926 save percentage. So basically, if I was in charge of this matchup, I would have the goaltender who was replaced by the guy who replaced him. I just think that'd be an interesting matchup and see which one's the better of the two. Leader for the Leafs. Well, Matthews with 46 goals. He's one behind Pasternak for the league lead. Assists, Marner has 49. Power play goals, Matthews with 11. Game-winning goals, Nylander has 7. So William Nylander takes a lot of abuse and blame when they lose games, but when they win, he's very often the guy who gets the game-winning goal. Goals leader for the Kings is Kopitar with 20. Assists, Kopitar 39. Power play goals, Kopitar with 7. And then game-winning goals, Carter has 7. So Kopitar leads in every category except the game-winning goals. That's where Carter shows up. And we'll see whether or not Kopitar can get the game-winning goal tonight. Because again, the Kings are playing completely different right now than early in the year. They've got the young guys in there. They're hungry, and they're just casual. There's just the relax that you see from a team when they're not in the race anymore. Sometimes it's frustrating because you're like, where were these guys at the start of the year? If they'd been like this all year, they'd be in the playoffs. Last game of the night is Minnesota in against San Jose. Again, 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. 33-26-7 is the record for Minnesota. They're also 6-3-1 in their last 10. And on the road, they're 14-15-2. So their overall road record isn't great, but it's been getting better lately. On the San Jose side, they're 29-33-4. They're 5-5 in their last 10, but they've won 3 in a row. 17-15-1 is their record at home. Now, November 7th, I remember this. San Jose beat Minnesota 6-5. That was a game where I decided I was going to start the review early because, again, 7:30 start, right? And I thought, all right, well, this San Jose game is, I think it was 5-1. All right, it's over. So I'm just going to do the review, and I'll stop I'll pause before I get to this game. And while I was doing the review and saying, this San Jose game's out of control, Minnesota kept scoring goals. So it ended up being a nail-biter at the end of it, but it wasn't at the start. San Jose won February 15th in Minnesota 2-0. So San Jose's won both meetings between these teams this year. Stalock, 19-10-4 with a .912 save percentage. I think you go with him again. Dubnyk's 11-15-2 with an .892 save percentage. They've confirmed Jones for tonight. He's 17-19-2 with an .898 save percentage. Come on, Jones. You can get above 900. Get above 900 on the year. Dell's 12-14-2 with a .907 save percentage. Leaders, Parise leads them in goals with 24. Suter leads them in assists with 38. Power play goals, Parise leads them with 12. Game-winning goals, Stahl leads them with 5. So veteran presence there on all 4 categories. San Jose, kind of a veteran presence on all 4 here as well. Evander Kane leads them in goals with 24, your assist leader. Carlson with 34 is still their assist leader, even though he's done. So they need a new assist leader. Power play goals, Kane with 12. And game-winning goals, Kane has 6. So, yeah, you guys are all set for tonight's action. What's on the line tonight? Well, like I said, the Capitals are 1 point ahead of the Flyers. So if the Flyers were to win in regulation and the Capitals lose in regulation, or no, it doesn't matter how the Flyers win. If the Flyers get 2 points and the Capitals lose in regulation, then the Flyers are number 1. Carolina, they want those 2 points. Rangers want those 2 points. The Panthers clearly want 2 points as well. They have that game in hand on Toronto. They'll still have a game in hand after tonight because they're both playing. Out west, not a lot on the line unless you're the Oilers, where you're trying to catch Vegas. They do have the tiebreaker on Vegas, so they would move into a first-place spot if they win tonight. And then you have Minnesota here. Minnesota with a win, that would push Vancouver down to the second wildcard spot. And it would push Winnipeg right out of the playoffs. So the West is nowhere near solidified, and that's why I don't have an Akbar magnet for Minnesota, because they know what's on the line tonight. There shouldn't be any problem. Motivation should not be a problem for them because they're holding on for their dear lives right now, and they're below the playoff line, so it would seem silly to put an Akbar magnet under a game that has 2 teams outside the playoffs. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. And the dreaded It's a Trap magnet. 3 of them today. 3. So there you go. Let me know your picks, your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.